Here's the thing. This is why you can always trust your feelings. Because whatever it is that you've been living has caused you to create a vibrational version of it. And your source stands there and calls you toward that. So your path is clear. It's undeniable. There are no wrong choices. Well, these are the things that could go wrong with your awareness of your feelings, or with your feelings. Being unaware of what they are, so that a lot of momentum gets going before you are aware or make a different choice. Or, well, that's it. And we think what this conversation is really about is recognizing that this path of least resistance isn't about a behavior that you should always follow. It's about being loose and receptive in the moment and following the impulse. In other words, Esther's thinking about this a lot these days because through her life experience and through her time with Jerry and through their building of life together and through the building of their businesses together, there were principles that he lived by that he taught to Esther, sort of business equations that he repeated to her often, ways to behave in situations and conditions to hold in certain ways. He said things like, start it the way you want it to end up. And if you can't multiply it by 1,000, don't do it. And he had a lot of those things that served him well, that simplified life. So now Jerry makes this transition to the non-physical. And so Esther is wanting to follow his lead and remembering so much of the wisdom that she learned from him. And so trying to hold to some of those principles that he established. Discovering, however, in her moving forward along her continual path of least resistance, that sometimes in holding to those principles that may have worked then, but are different in the way that she is feeling them now, that sometimes she can let go of that as she follows a louder calling. The way she first began translating that was by saying, oh, Jerry, I think I can hear you saying something different now. And he is saying something different now, like trust yourself and follow your own guidance, and like things are always working out and your impulses are on target, and don't worry so much about trying to get everything just right and enjoy the journey. And there are a whole lot of other things that he is saying that are not contradictory to what he said then. And so this is the piece that we are so interested in lighting up for you. And that is that the path of least resistance, let's say that something happened and you felt an impulse and you did it and it worked out really well and you noticed it. And so you did it again and it worked out well again. And so you started affirming to yourself that when I do this under these conditions with these people, it turns out like this. Well, that's really nice, but it doesn't allow for the expansion in your desire, and it doesn't allow for the momentum along your way, and it doesn't allow for who you have become. You're confining yourself to what was and not allowing yourself to go to what will be or what really is. So let's go back to the piece that we were offering earlier about what if. Wouldn't it be nice if Esther's finding those 4-second and 5-second and 6-second glimpses where all she is aware of, all that she is wanting is alignment, 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 trusting then that in her alignment, that law of attraction, which is always in motion, will then help her to dovetail with who is in her vicinity, who is up for whatever it is that she's up for. Rather than looking into the public and defining results that you like, and then systematically trying to hook up with the specifics of those characteristics. Instead, trusting your guidance, coming into alignment, and trusting law of attraction to give you what you need when you need it all the way along the way. So much more freedom, so much more power, so much more timing, so much more deliberateness, so much more refreshing, so much faster, so much more energy moving. So We want you to feel the power of your life experience. And the reason that we are taking such a dynamic, dramatic approach to it is because you have had such publicity about something that is causing so many of you to think in a negative way about something that matters to you so intensely. And we've been saying to you for a while that this is the time of awakening. And what the time of awakening means is it's a time of greater contrast, which means it's a time of launching more rockets, which means it's a time of more answering, which means it's a time of more energy flowing, which means it's a time when, if you line up with the energy that is creating worlds and the energy that is a vibrational match to who you are, you thrive in enormous ways. And if you don't thrive in big ways. That's why the rich are richer and the poor are poorer and the well are weller and the sick are sicker. And the middle ground is not as obvious as it once was, because the energy that creates worlds is moving faster than it ever has before, which means it behooves you to find ways to move in the direction of the energy. You don't have to keep up with the energy that creates worlds, but you better be moving in the direction of the energy that creates worlds. Otherwise, it's really hard on you. It's like you're driving down the freeway and you collide with an automobile that's moving the same way that you are. It's not as devastating as if you collide with an automobile that's coming from the other direction. When you get moving in the direction of the energy, you have a much more comfortable ride than when you're bucking the current. When you move against the current that you have been asking for and summoning and has been coming for all of this time, it doesn't work out very well for you. And the first signal that you're doing that is the emotion, the negative emotion that you feel. So the briefest way to explain it is that you are source energy. You come forth into a physical body. Life causes you to ask for more. That asking is then answered by source energy, because source energy gives its undivided attention to what you are asking for. And as law of attraction is responding to this culmination of all that you are, it creates a very powerful calling or source. Do you acknowledge that law of attraction is a factor in your life experience? Have you shown to yourself that when you hold something as your object of attention, sooner or later, and usually sooner, it shows up in your experience? Do you acknowledge that as you have been in this physical body, you have been thinking a lot of thoughts that now make up the basis of your point of attraction? Do you acknowledge that you have thought thoughts before that you're not thinking now, and since you're not thinking them now, it's not part of your basis of attraction? Do you understand that it's only the thought that is actively being thought that is your basis of attraction? Well, please understand that that is so. You didn't feel very confident about that, but we want you to know that thoughts that you thought before are not affecting you now unless you're still thinking them. And so people worry about unconscious thoughts or subconscious thoughts, and we want to say to you, if it's so subconscious or unconscious that you're not having any emotion around it, then it's not big enough that it has any pulling power. So you do acknowledge that your thoughts do create your reality. So now here's another factor that we want you to consider relative to the law of attraction. And as you wrap your thoughts around this, it's going to serve you enormously well, because this piece of information is going to help you to understand, maybe for the first time, why your guidance system, your emotional guidance system, works in the way that it does. Did you enjoy our analogy of the electricity and the toaster a little bit? And do you acknowledge that you existed as source energy before you came forth into this physical body? And do you accept that non-physical part of you still remains in non-physical? And would you like to join us in acknowledging that that is an eternal being there? Now, you can call it God, you can call it source energy, you can call it all that is. The name that you give it doesn't matter very much, but it is an eternal consciousness that is expanding and is pure positive energy. So we are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. Nothing is off limits. You will notice a wonderful unfolding. Things will evolve magically, or so it will seem. Everything that you want to know, we are aware of, and we will wedge it in the crack. Do not worry. Nothing will go unanswered. Stop for a moment and think about what you want. Think about the events of your recent life and the questions that they've caused you to ask. Think about the things that are percolating in your reality right now. Think about the things that you've been wanting and your relationship with them. And let us together not only take thought beyond that which it has been before, but let us together close the gap, the vibrational gap between where you are and where you really want to be. This is the thing that we most want you to understand. Your inner being has an active, meaning dynamic, meaning in this moment, opinion about everything that you are about. So every subject, every experience, every person, every interaction that you are involved in, your inner being has a strong point of attraction about that. And because it's an unequivocal point of attraction, because it's not contradicted by doubt or worry or memory of things gone wrong, because it's an unequivocally pure signal, the law of attraction is responding to it in a very powerful way, which means it's your best bet to harmonize, synchronize, calibrate to that. And if you do anything else, which is sort of kind of natural that you would, you're not going to feel so good. Next, we want to say this right at the outset. The more you calibrate to who you are, the more wonderful things will come around you. Oh, Abraham, I didn't quite understand that. So I hook up, I become very powerful in my attraction. Good things come to me and good things come around me. And you don't want me to look at them because they're conditions? That isn't what we mean. Of course, look at them. Just understand where they came from. Just understand that they are evidence of your alignment, you see. We just want you to get your priorities straight and care most and first about calibrating with who you really are. And then everything else really will take care of itself. All right? So we are today undoubtedly going to take understanding of the law of attraction to a new place. Because everything is about attraction, 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 attraction. There is no assertion. It's only attraction. There is no assertion. Just feels like assertion because you've attracted something you don't want. And at deep levels, you think, I wouldn't have attracted that. There must be someone doing this to me. But there never is anybody else doing it. It's that you've calibrated to something other than source. And so you're attracting what you don't want. And that's why it feels like assertion. Now hear this. Your inner being is not asserting into your experience either, because the law is the law and what goes around and there's no exception to it. So your inner being is not asserting into your experience. Your inner being is offering a signal that you can attract, offering a signal that you can calibrate to, offering a signal that you can harmonize to. But it's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction. We want you to understand that you get what you expect. And so life has been calibrating you. Life has been calibrating you, and the same time that life has been calibrating you, source has been receiving the calibration of what you really want. Isn't that glorious to know? So in any moment, you can lean in the direction of what source has received from your experience. When someone's hateful, you want more love. When someone's starving, you want them to eat. When someone's confused, you want clarity for them or for you. There's this magnificent world that you have been creating, that you have easy access to, but you can't keep facing the current reality and calibrating to the current reality and live the world that you deserve and that you've created and that you want.